Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the League of Europe for round number 1 in the opening round to this ninth season of the League of Europe, coming to you from one of the most historic tracks on the Formula One calendar here at Silverstone in Britain. For what should be a pretty entertaining first race of the season. Britain always seems to deliver when it comes to action out on track, but here in the comms booth for what should be the entire season is going to be me, QVR Packer, as I was last season. And alongside me, even though he was here a few rounds last season, but stepping in full-time this season here in Division 4, is QVR Verstappen. How's it going here?
Hello everyone, indeed. Welcome to Division 4 of League of Europe. I'm doing quite well. Looking forward to this. It was a bit of a change for me, coming from Division 2 last season. But yeah, just as exciting to go underway here and see what it's all about.
Yeah, obviously you did a few races last season. I believe you did Imola. That's the main one I remember from right at the beginning of last season, and it was quite an entertaining race. So hopefully we'll get some more of that coming in here for the first race of Season 9. But yeah, I'm kind of excited for the new season, especially coming to Division 4. Commentating should be quite the treat, as it always is.
Yeah, definitely. It's always, a good look to see who's made the most improvements. A lot of these guys that you'll see are actually, from the last season as well. I don't think there's actually anyone that moved down, so anyone new you'll see will either be a returnee or, a completely new driver to the league, and we'll see how they fare in this division. 18 drivers tonight, 20 full-time, 4 in the reserves. We were expecting Marcy, but he is not here, so that's not amazing to see, but hopefully he will be notified of set things as we see one of the Aston Martins coming to start their lap.
Yeah, that'll be Swip, our lobby host. Does a great job as
I think
host,
so.
as he just has been overtaken.
I think Jamie met.
Yeah, Jamie met. If I can find him. Oh yeah, sorry, Jamie met. Yeah, Jamie met coming into turn 1. That'll be Abby, as we're gonna fly our way through village or farm and village now. Of course, flat out through turns 1, 2, and then breaking into 3 and into the loop for turn 4. A little bit wide of the apex. There is Jamie Met, but now exiting through Aintree and now onto the Wellington Straight as we go under the Aramco Bridge with DRS open for the first time. And now we're going to be braking late as you can, really, but you're going to want to kind of trail off in the brakes as you make your way through Brooklands and then bring it back to the right-hand side for Luffield. Bring it out wide and then snap it back to the late apex that you want to take through Luffield and now through this flat-out right-hander of Woodcut. You want to try and keep it as tight as possible to the right-hand side and down to the National Pit Straight. And now as we go through Cobbs down 1 gear and trying to take as much speed as possible using all the track that you can. But now we're going into the most iconic section on this circuit. We have Maggots and then the left-hander of Beckett's as you go down 1 more gear and then down 1 more gear as we head through Chapel 5th gear and then flat out opening up the DRS through that slight left-hander now onto the Hangar Straight. Only a few more corners left to go as we're into the final sector. Purple, of course, is the first out on track down into Stowe, down 3 gears just to get the rotation. Use a little bit of that curb just to spin the car around, and now we're going to head into the Vale chicane through the left-hander. We're a little bit late on the brakes. Down to 2nd gear, all over the curb on the right-hand side as we head through Club, the final corner, and across the line for it's going to be a 29.696 for him. And I think there's a Williams that or an Alpine that just crossed the line, but I think he was invalid. So I think Swept will be the next one.
Yeah, his teammates, let's see if he can match him. Doesn't look like he's exactly on the pace, just a second off there. He'll be looking to improve throughout the rest of the session. As one of the AlphaTauri is actually going around there, that'll be a live bout. He's new to the division as a reserve, as Old School will be the first one to, well, not the first one, I should say. He's getting on to pole, but then Ecos Mats with a 28.3. quickly gets ahead of him, and his teammate's not too far behind. And another 28-3 as T-Ban gets up into P1 there, the Ferrari. And he'll be happy with that. California not too far behind. Another reserve stepping in for Jess here tonight, who couldn't make it. Poldopus dethrones T-Ban again, and a 10.5 quicker than him.
Yeah, Poldopus looked pretty good last season. I believe he finished in the top 5 of the Division 4 championship. But we're also seeing some names that we saw last season. Axel finding his way up into the top 3 as well, so that's a decent lap to start out his session. Poldopus, Esteban, Axel, Ecos, Matt, Jordan, as well as Old School were all here last season. Same with Swip. So seeing quite a few returning names, it's nice to see, especially from a commentator's perspective. But we do have a new driver. I don't even know how to pronounce this. The other Alpine goes to the top onto a 27.761. That's a pretty decent time, I would think. As we get as we're getting closer to the midpoint of the session where everyone's going to be coming back into the pits. I think Jamie Met, or that'll be Swip, is going around for another one. He still has ERS. He's 7 tenths off though of his was 7 tenths off of his previous lap time, but now he's getting some laps in here early on in the session. Is there anyone else? I don't think anyone else is going to be continuing on. Maybe Lifebout, but I think he'll be heading back to the pit lane. And besides that, the only other people that are going to be continuing on past the pit lane are going to be drivers on outlaps just starting. So
Yeah, already quite a few times, very close together. Silverstone is not, usually the track where you have huge pace differences. So you see Aguapo, with so far the quickest time, 27.7 is very decent. I think a few drivers might be able to match that, but it's looking very solid for him so far. I think the American of Ghost Recon should start his lap. He's coming through now the loop. It's very important to get the traction right here. It's very difficult to do. Seems like that driving the Red Bull's done that quite decently. Another reserve for the season as well. As the DRS goes open, then well into straight 27.9. We now go down into Brooklands and now towards Love Field as another big traction zone. Isn't definitely a difficult corner for the King of Woodgood, which used to be the final corner, but we got changed, I believe, in 2010, if I'm not mistaken. So, yeah, they're now using a slightly different layout of Weasley, and now that means Max Vegas is for the second half of the lap. And this looks fairly committed here from the Red Bull driver. As we go into the throttle, let's see if he can get himself near the top of the times. On a 4.7, it says it's purple. Highly doubt that, but we'll have to see. Hanger straight. Now down towards Seoul, brake at the 50 meter boards. Hold it in fifth now. It goes a bit deep there. Now for the Ville chicane, which is a very difficult one. Just cling onto the curves a little bit. Make sure you don't lose some traction. And let's see across the line, the American, it's 29.2. I think there's a lot of time in that for him. Not too bad to start off with. Robertson in behind, goes into P8.
yeah, Robertson up to P8 on the 28.626, so that'll put him just in front of his teammate and the fan favorite, it seems, in the chat. Montana and Lou Anderson United all cheering for Mr. Old School 3000, so he has quite a few supporters. Of course, quite the veteran in terms of LOE in LOE history, so I'm sure a lot of people will like to see him trying to get up the grid a little bit here in Division 4. Of course, switching to wheel last season as well, so learning a new device. Well, I don't know if it's learning still, but either way. But yeah, no one on a lap right now, I don't think. Most people will be on outlabs. If I could get my tire detail up. There we go. Yeah, so Old School will be starting a lap here in a little bit. Jordan is just coming through the Vale chicane as well to start a lap, I think. So what about Lifebout? Where's Lifebout? He's in the final sector. So yeah, let's ride on board with Jordan JJT. Of course, Constructor Champion last season in the Mercedes once again. This season as well, having his teammate in T-Brum, who has moved up to Division 2 after, well, absolutely destroying Division 4 last season, frankly. So he will earn that promotion pretty well, didn't T-Brum? But here we come on board with Jordan into Brooklyn's down to 4th gear, short shifting to 5th, just to get a little bit of stability into the cars. We head into Luffield down to 3rd, 4th, short shifting, trying to get that traction as we accelerate out in 4th gear, and then we head through Woodcut, keeping it as far to the right as possible to try and minimize the distance taken on this lap. And now in we go to Cobbs down to 7th gear, and that's going to be an invalidation for Jordan. You could kind of see it that it was coming, but yeah, let's go on board with Old School up 4/10 in the first sector as we head through Maggots and Beckett's, keeping it tight to the right-hand side, using all the track that he can down to 5th gear, up to 6th, just to get that stability for the exit of Chapel there. He could have drove it out in 5th, but either way, he's up 5.5 tenths of a second, so right now is putting himself up only a few positions, just past his teammate, it looks like, as we head into Stowe. Looks pretty decent, not using any of the inside curb there on the inside of the right-hander into Vale, just nicking the black and white curves. That's what you want to be doing, because they won't be disrupting you too much out of the final corner. He finds another 0.5 tenth in that final sector and puts himself up for the P8. So another good lap there, but he still has one more run to improve his position further.
We'll have to see if anyone can challenge Aguapa to top. We see the lifeboat actually coming across the line. 27.3. That is a very quick lap there, and already contended to be moved up. It's like J Hings moving up into P6 as well. A lot of people with the 28.3 here, I have to say, so quite funny to see everyone so close there, at least on pace. Although I think one of them is going to come out of it, as Steban is 2 tenths up coming into the Vale chicane. Short shifting through the corners. Let's see if he can get himself up towards the line, and in a decent time, 28 flat, goes into P3 here. 2.5 tenths still by Aguapo, but that time for Lifeboat is a very quick one.
Yeah, Lifeboat at 27.3. That's faster than what I was doing for most of the day. So maybe looking for a promotion. But either way, California, the third driver, into the 27s as well. So he's looking pretty quick. Poldy Poles improves himself up to a 27.7. A Red Bull just crossed the line. That'll be an All Energetics. He must have been invalid. Alpha Tauri. Where's the other Alpha Tauri? Guapo. Yeah, he's up to P2. Purple, the final sector as well. Only 2 tenths off of that top time so far. There's an Aston Martin to the final sector that's Swift. He invalidated, so he's going to be going again. And now there's a little bit of gap before the next few cars come across the line. It's funny to see. You see all those cars in the first sector right now, and then there's almost nobody throughout the rest of the lap. I think Energetics might be going again here because he did invalidate, and he's only down to 50% battery as well now, and is using, so it could be going again. Swip will definitely be going again. Serial Killer has invalidated after setting his 29.4. Ecos Mats, I think, is going to be the next one, if not, Esteban already finished, so yeah, let's ride on board with Ecos Mats as we head through Beckett's and Chapel. Maybe, I just want to say getting maybe a slight toe off that Red Bull, but I don't think he's close enough. Didn't quite catch the middle sector split there, but Ecos Mats heading into Stowe on this lap. Down to 5th gear. I see a lot of drivers going down to 5th and then short shifting to 6th right on the exit there. It does kill your momentum a little bit. You want to try and keep it in 6th heading through Stowe, but through Vale and Club looks pretty decent. Not getting on that yellow curve on the exit there, which would completely ruin your exit, but finds a 1/10 and a half over the lap and will put himself up in the P6, which is not that bad.
The Ibo's coming across the line. He was up 9 tenths, but lost a bit of time in the last sector. The yellow flag from one of the Astons, which is Swip, going around Stowe, and he'll have to try again later, I presume. Just watching Jordan start a lap, looking around. One of the Red Bulls is pretty far along the lap, but he's a valid as goes recon, so that's unfortunate to see. So I think it's just Jordan that's on the lap currently.
Yeah, Jordan is the only one on a flyer right now. Maybe Ghost Recon just starting a lap, I think, as well, just crossing start-finish line on the Sir Lewis Hamilton pit straight, I believe it's called, I want to say now. But yeah, as we head into Brooklyn, down to 4th gear, once again seeing a lot of drivers going down to a gear, short shifting well early on into the corners. Jordan, it says it's purple in the first sector. I want to believe it, but knowing the game, it's probably not. As we head through Woodcote onto the national pitch straight. Is this Jordan's 3rd lap in qualifying already? He's doing it quite early. unless he's saving a set of softs and only he's done 2, but either way. Through Maggots, back gets here, the left-hander down to 6th. Is he going to go down to 5th? Yep. And drives out in 5th. Yep. That's how you want to do it if you can't keep it in 6th gear there through with your wings. Up to 10th of a second. Yeah, so this could be a pretty big improvement in terms of positions. Maybe not the biggest improvement on lap time, but 2/10 can find you quite a bit in the position that he's in currently on the grid right now. As we head into Vale, down to 3rd, short shifting 4th. He's going to short shift 5th. Yep, there we go. Getting the traction now on the exit. Out of club up to 6th gear as well, just before the little hump there, and finds 2/10 in that final sector for a total of 4. So he's going to put himself up into the top 5, but that might have just been his final lap in qualifying. So everyone else still has laps to do. Ghost Recon through the final sector is also invalid and is backed off once again. So yeah, only Jordan and Ghost Recon were the only 2 people on laps now. Now we have just about half the grid. Starting laps pretty soon.
Yeah, the first of which has been old school. I know he talked to him. He was pretty much looking forward to this race and hoping he'd get a good result here. Been able to practice it a little bit, and can't tell. I think he's got a lot of time in him still. But let's see if that's true. 2/10 up for the first sector already. We'll have to see if he can keep that momentum going. 3rd gear down into left field is a bit wide. Short shift into 5th, could get a decent exit though. And in the halves, he goes around Woodcuts. It's one of the Alpha Towers, I think, just getting out of the way. And now down towards Cops, which is so nearly 5. He keeps in the 8th gear. Keep momentum, it's quite good to see there for old school. And for Maggots at Becca, it's just searching the limits. Where can I be? Where can I not be invalid? Where can I not spin? If the 6th gear. So you talked about earlier, that's the way to do it. And he's almost 4/10 up. Go maybe towards the 27th. There's 4 drivers in it currently. I'll have to see if he can do it. 6th gear through, still holding it, no, to make sure not to invalidate, and hopefully he doesn't get held up too much by these drivers up here. Through Phil, as he has the Aston Martin just in front of him, and now through Club, let's see where the Irishman can go. 28.4, lost quite a bit of time in the last sector, I think. That's unfortunate to see. There's a lot of potential there still left. And just looking around, I think Lifeboat is just about to start a lap, as many other drivers are. Unless you have someone caught a lap.
Yeah, I'm just looking for drivers. I think Robertson will just be starting one. The McLaren, that'll be California. The only McLaren in the lobby is Ghost Recon, has retired in the pit lane. Speaking of California, he's just starting as well. Ecos Matt's starting. Here, Alpine. That'll be a Guapo, just starting as well. And then there's Energetics, who I think is backing off. So, looking for someone on a lap, struggling. We have Axel, who's on a lap right now. Very low on ERS. I'm not sure how he got below 10%, but as we head through the Vale Club corner now, the final corner, of course, finds 0.2 of a second and puts himself into P7. Ibo is on a lap, but just does a 31.2 on his mediums. We had the other Williams of J-Hing spin through the final corner. There's an Alfa Romeo. Is that Poldy Pulls? Poldy Pulls doesn't improve on his lap time, but crosses the line just before the timer runs out. Serial Killer is going to be coming to the line, and then there's an Aston Martin, but Serial Killer finds half a second, goes into P13. Swip crosses the line, finds a second, but will stay in P15, I think that was. iConnect is going to be the next one. And his Ferrari, Jamie Met, is right up behind him as well. Jamie Met will actually head into the pit lane. Lifeboat finishes. He finishes on the 27.3 and on provisional pole position. iConnect will start in P8 as it stands right now, finishing his first lap of the session. Robertson will go up to P7, knocking iConnect down to P9. This is McLaren, that'll be California, is up by a few thousandths of a second. Is it going to be enough to put himself into the top 3 or possibly onto the front row of the grid? He's going to have to find a lot of time in this final sector. Doesn't find enough. He'll stay in P4. There's a Mercedes, that'll be Ecos Matt across the line, finds a 10th, and we'll put him up into P7. The Alpine of Aguapo puts himself onto provisional pole position with Energetics to cross the line. Energetics will go into P3, so that's a good lap from the Dutchman as well. But Aguapo putting himself on provisional pole position with the best lap that we saw of the day there. It's 127.326, and man, the top of this grid is looking very, very quick, and they're looking like they could just run away with this race right now. 4/10 to Energetics in third place, but after that, it gets pretty tight.
Yeah, definitely. Around the grid, apart from the top two, who are 4/10 clear of the rest of them, but we have Energetics all the way down to like old school. Around 7/10s, that's not too bad for, especially a grid that is usually so, quite a bit divided, to be honest. This is not bad to see at all, and should make for a pretty decent race.
Yeah, it should be pretty interesting, especially around a track like Britain, where you can save your rest, you can save fuel in the train, and DRS is pretty powerful as well as slipstream. So should be interesting to see how this race will play out, especially between the top two. Guapo Lifeboat separated by 0.04 of a second. Up at the top, 4/10 back is Energetics in P3. But as we already mentioned, the rest of the field is very, very close, and we can look at that gap a little bit closer once we get to the results screen. But here it is, a Guapo and Lifeboat up at the top, and then Energetics P3. It's only, what, 0.6 between P3 and P12 there, so pretty relatively close for Division 4. Energetics Poldypoles will be on the second row, followed by California and Jordan. Esteban, Ecos, Mats will be on row 4, and then Robert Simon, Axel Kurz will round out the top 10. iConnect, Jay Hings will be 11th and 12th, and Old School, Jamie Met, Serial Killer, Ghost Recon, the top 16. Swip, and then Ibo will be your last two on the grid on row number 9. There, Ibo only qualifying on the mediums, as Ibo does, but yeah, an interesting qualifying session for Division 4. I wasn't expecting it to be quite so close, but of course Britain is one of those tracks that really everyone knows and everyone can be semi-decent around. So we'll see how that plays into the race.
You'll have to see if they can, keep it consistent. Obviously, being quick in quali is one thing, and being quick in the race is another. You have to make sure you're consistent. Don't pick up penalties, and actually manage to keep the car on track, which can be, even for the best of us, be quite difficult. We'll have to see if these guys can actually manage that. See if it's actually a dry race as well. Looks like it. Very sunny out there, which is not very usual for Silverstone. But it's good to see that at least that won't be too much of an issue. Of course, we're going to have to see what the tyre choice is going to be. Now, normally I'd say start on the hard is the usual choice around here. However, within the 4, who knows what these people are going to come up with, and try and maybe start on the mediums and go to hards later, or maybe someone will even start on the softs. We'll have to see.
Yeah, Division 4 really, you can never really predict what's going to happen in terms of strategy, but it'll be interesting to see what does indeed happen. I see a few hards in the garage for the Red Bulls and the Mercedes as well, and just checking in with Division 2, they have a dry to wet race around, it's going to flip around halfway through. So that should be an interesting one to watch, especially Division 2, one of the most entertaining divisions here in League of Europe over the years. So yeah, it looks like, though, we do have a pretty uniform strategy in terms of this one in Division 4. Guapo Lifeboat up at the front on the hards, Energetics P3 on the mediums, and then Poldypoles California on the hards, Jordan on the mediums, and then Esteban and Ecos Matt splitting on a hard and a medium, then Robertson on the hards, Axel iConnect on the mediums in P10 and P11. Jay Hings and Jamie Matt will surround Old School hards to mediums, and then you have Serial Killer, Ghost Recon. Serial Killer already being disqualified from the formation lap. I know what that's like on mediums, and then Swip and Ibo on the hards as well. Normally, you'd see Ibo maybe on a pair of softs, but not today.
Yeah, a lovely split here. If I'm calculating correctly, we have 8 on the mediums and 10 on the hards. So, yeah, we'll have to see which is the better strategy. Of course, you'd expect with the long pit lane and the slow one as well. I think it's 60 kilometers an hour, 37 for the Brits under us. And, but yeah, you're going to lose a lot of time if you try and two-stop. So ideally, you'll just want to go from the one to the other tire, that being the medium and the hards. And I think only in the suspect of a safety car or anything, we'll see maybe someone going on the softs. But even that is maybe a bit unlikely. I have to see. if these two at the top can maintain their pace they had into the race.
Yeah, it'd be interesting to see how Guapo and Lifeboat translate their qualifying pace over to the race, especially starting on the harder compounded tire, which is the better race tire, I would say. Last well into the race, and you're going to get a decent amount of life out of it, but it can be quite difficult to keep it on track sometimes. Yeah, I guess we'll just have to wait and see as everyone will form up at the back of the grid. Ibo is going to be the last one to find his grid slot. Jamie Met, Robertson, Jay Hings, Serial Killer, all not parking inside their grid slot. But here we go for the first round of the season of Season 9. There's 5 lights. And lights out, and away we go. Looks like Lifeboat and Guapo getting pretty decent starts. Energetics bogging down a little bit, even on the softer medium tires, but the top 2 go side by side into turn 1, into Village for the first time in this race. Lifeboat is just going to have to stick in behind of the Alpine for the first time through turn 3. He's going to look around the outside of turn 4, but I don't think he's going to be able to get that one. It looks like Guapo is going to be quite clear as we head onto the Wellington Straight for the first time in this race for the first of 26. Energetics falling all the way down to P6, though, interestingly enough, on the medium tires. Jordan, who started in P5, I believe, already in front of him. Now the leading medium runner, California Poldipo, is getting off to pretty decent starts as well. They're solid in P3 and 4 as it stands right now. Esteban in P7 right now. iConnect, Ghost Recon. Ghost Recon's had a pretty decent start. He's up to P9. Robertson has had not the greatest starts because he's around at Luffield, as well as Ecos Mats, who had a problem in the first sector, it looks like, because he's down and well behind the grid as well. Same for Axel. I think he must have made a mistake as well, or had some contact earlier on, but it looks like Guapo Lifeboat, they're doing pretty decent for themselves already up at the front and having a pretty decent gap for both of them.
Yeah, 5 tenths of positive, which it's not a whole lot, as we see Jordan actually going on the attack on California, being on the better tires, and he makes the move work into so. You have it to P4, and on those mediums you want to maybe try and stick with the top guys, and maybe even overtake to try and get into the lead. The Serial Killer is actually running through so. That proved to be a difficult corner as Aguapo sets the fastest lap of the race, predictably being the first one through. Have to see if Jordan, though, can, on the mediums, can get through there. So see the bottom 3 into the pit as Serial Killer picked up a 5-second time penalty for speeding. Have to see if these two can pull away as he retires from the session. Unfortunately to see, it's only off one. Too much of an issue, I'd say. But yeah, if these two can pull away. For now, California has a little bit of a gap though. I've made a slight mistake, and he can't quite stick with top 4.
Yeah, it looks like California's struggling for some race pace. A little bit wide there at Luffield, just trying to get the car wrangled in a little bit on those hard tires. Maybe just not gelling well with them so far in this race, because Energetic is going to be right on the back of them. The Red Bull looking at the McLarens, who are, I think, quite closely inspecting it a little bit, but nothing that he can do for the moment as we head into Magnuson Beckett for the second time. Here at Silverstone, Guapo leads the Lifeboat, who leads Poldipo's Jordan, and then California, almost at a DRS range is California. That will be activated on the next lap, of course, will be typically activated on lap 3. But yeah, it looks like Guapo, Lifeboat, Poldipo's, even with the qualifying gap, able to keep close to those top 2 for the time being. Energetic sends one up the inside of California there at Stowe, and I think he's going to be able to get that one done. Braked late into Stowe, even though it's not too much of a hard braking zone, but we're still able to get that one done. I think iConnect also passed his teammate in Esteban, and Guapo sets fastest lap of the race up at the front. Kind of what you expected. Now DRS is going to be enabled, and California still looking at the back of Energetics. Even though Energetics made that move on the previous lap, but California still sticking with him, trying to see what he can do as he's all over that inside curb at turn 3. But he's going to have DRS on Energetics, who, after getting stuck behind California for however long you're stuck behind California, lost DRS to the top 4.
Yeah, it's not benefiting him whatsoever, and here we see iConnect trying to make the best of the mediums. He gets on the inside of California, which seems to be dropping back on those hards. That's like kind of predictable, because you have those medium guys around you that are going to be quicker at the start of the race. But yeah, California down into P7 now. Now you have Esteban behind him, who on this turn has the American of Ghost Recon right there. So it's not going to be very easy for California to stick up here. We'll have to see if he can do it. and keep an eye on Old School as well. He's not too far off as well on the mediums, so he might be able to make a move. But to the front of the race, we see Lifeout on the back of Aguapo and might be going for a move.
Yeah, Lifebot with DRS for the first time in this race. He's looking at the back of the Alpine. Not going to be able to do anything. Aguapo using his DRS just to fend off the challenge from Lifebot for the time being. But Lifebot haven't used anything. He's going to, well, I was going to say he's going to get up to 100% as we head through the Vale Chicane. But up to 97 as now we come off of the Vale Chicane and through Club Corner for the third time in this race. Lifebot with the fastest lap, of course, with the DRS as well. Ghost Recon will make his way past Jay Hings. Ghost Recon must have made a mistake somewhere, maybe through Stowe or through the Vale Chicane, as Esteban has also fallen off the back of California as well now. But California, it looked like he was going to maybe make a move on energetics, and it ended up Iconex being the one to jump first and pass the McLaren on that last lap at the corner we're coming up to next. So Iconex just a little bit faster on the trigger there. Now he's going to be up behind the Red Bull and looking to make looking to make a move pretty soon here on the Red Bull, especially since they're out of DRS and falling away, or kind of falling away as Energetics makes a mistake off of Flufffield.
Yeah, but it's not looking too bad as Jay Hings has actually spun. He's out of session, spun out of Flufffield, and that is great though for the Williams. And we have his full cross safety car very early on the lap 4, and could spice up a bit of the strategy definitely.
Yeah, that's going to change up the strategy a little bit. I'd imagine the hard runners would, well, I mean, if you're on the hards here, you kind of have to go, you either stay out or you go medium. I'm not sure what the right call would be here. I'd imagine you'd keep track of position.
Yeah, I think you stay out if you're on the hards. Medium runners are for an interesting predicament because those hards not easy to make for the end. As you see, quite a split there.
Though. Yeah.
It might be possible. We see Jordan and Energetics at least attempting it. Same with Ghost Recon and Old School as well. So I'll have to see if this plays out for them. I believe it plays out for Robert and Matt, who can get back to the train. They had some incidents on lap 1, so they've fallen back. It'll be interesting to see if these guys can make this strategy work. But I'm not going to say it's going to be easy, and obviously there might be more safety cars as well. In our event, it's might be the right call, it might not be. And on the other hand, we obviously have Iconex and Axel, who've both stayed out on the mediums, not thinking they're going to make it towards the end, or just not choosing to. And they're going to try the opposite and see what works best between these two strategies.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how the strategies will play out as we go through the rest of this race. Of course, a lap 4 safety car isn't amazing, you know, but, well, for either strategy really, but it can be played out, and you kind of have to just gamble on a safety car or no safety car, really. So I think the hard runners here, just playing it safe, they can make the one stop easily, just going hard to medium, and the safety car just giving them a little bit more life on those mediums down at the end of the race. So, yeah, it doesn't really affect them too much. It really only affects the medium runners because eventually those medium runners are going to have to pit. They were going to have to pit in maybe 8 laps or so. So, just getting that out of the way, going on the hards, I don't think they'll be able to make it to the end. But I have been proven wrong before, so I guess we'll see.
Yeah, definitely. At this point, we're just gonna wait and see. It's gonna be good here. What's interesting to me is to see that Polyphus could stick with these top 2. It looked equally out of place potentially in this division, but Polyphus was not too bad, and Jordan as well. Obviously on the mediums, it's not like there's a huge gap, and yeah, Jordan and Tiffix, they weren't getting driven off the place, so you know, it's definitely something for these guys to maybe attack the top 2. Especially with Jordan on a different strategy. He might be able to play it off, he might not. Let's see about that. He has to get through a few slower cars first, and that might hold him up a little bit, but he definitely does have that pit stop advantage. Thinking he'll make it to the end. Don't know if he will.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see. Of course, Jordan showed decent pace, qualified in P6, I want to say. So, well, he's going to be the leader of that alternate strategy. Well, the alternate strategy. So, we'll just, yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out, because now he'll have track position if he can stay out, but especially with the long pit stop here, you lose right around 25 to 30 seconds. So long pit lane, making any pit stop on a safety car typically is beneficial here at Silverstone. So it could play out if maybe there's one more safety car at the end of the race. You can box for softs or mediums after everyone on either a hard medium or a medium hard strategy has made their pit stop. It would really help you out, but I still don't know. It's going to be, you know, a lap 4 safety car, especially here with the strategy, is almost impossible to predict, I'd say.
Yeah. Well, we could go back racing this lap, I reckon. So, we'll see how Aguapo will do the safety car restart. Obviously, there's quite a few places where you can catch some drivers out. Mostly somewhere in that chicane, which is where, you know, you'd expect to go, and pick the pace up and try and get away as much as you can. But, you know, it's not, I wouldn't say it's very easy to follow here on that safety car restart, because the traction zone there is very difficult, so there's a gap to be built here if Aguapo does this right and catches life and potentially Polipus or anyone in behind it all. So, let's see about that. Where does he go? And it's coming down towards the safety car's in the pits now.
Yeah, so Guapo can go anytime from now, really, because as long as the safety car's in the pit lane, you can go, as Guapo's going to floor it right there, right off the exit of Stowe. Goes very, very early, as you just said there. Heading into the Vale chicane, slows down a little bit. You can't go, stop, and then go again. I mean, it was kind of on the edge of doing that, but he'll lead the train away onto lap number 7. He didn't get the greatest of gaps. It's kind of...
Jamie Met.
Wasn't the greatest of safety car restarts, as Jamie Met sends one up the inside of Esteban through Abby and goes off the track, has to cut the corner. He's going to be off in the runoff. Oh, there in the background as we're watching with Esteban, but Poles and iConnects are battling away. iConnects on those medium tires, getting his tires up to temperature into that working range a lot quicker than Poles could under the safety car, especially at the slow speed that Aguapo was going at up at the front. And now Poles is going to be down to P4, getting challenged by California, as we have someone off in the background. That's Energetics, who was on that second strategy. He pit for the hard tires, and now he's going to be almost completely out of this race, I would imagine, as Ibo is there with him, as they're just kind of coasting onto the track. But let's go back up to the front. Aguapo and Lifeboat getting very, very close. Lifeboat trying to follow as closely as he can as we head into Maggots and Beckett's for the 7th time here tonight. Let's watch aboard with the top 2. I don't think anyone's making moves in behind. This is the closing gap out on track beside Decos Matson. Old School down at the back. But Lifeboat not making any advances on a possible move. He's just going to stay in the slipstream and follow Aguapo behind. And I think he's just going to stay behind until DRS gets activated once again.
Yeah, it's good to see iConnect has been able to stay here though, because space on the mediums is looking very good. Of course, he's going to have the advantage of the safety car restart with the warmer tires, and able to get a move on very quickly on Polipus for 3 and 4. Let's see if we can stick with these guys, as Polipus himself is falling away a slight bit. May have just not had the best restart here. Then Lifeout's very much on the back of Aguapo, and might be able to get a move done very soon if he wants to. We'll have to see. Both these guys are very cautious with the ARS play, whereas iConnect is bringing a lot more of it. Looking for the move for P8. Jordan is trying to get a move done on Swift around the outside of Brooklands. Swift goes very defensive, and Jordan might be able to switch back that around the outside of Blufffield. See the same again into this corner. See, make it a better exit out of Blufffield down towards Cops. Can he get this one done on the outside? It does look like he's going to get that done. Swift is trying to defend. There's a bit of contact there. Just about as both of them stay alive, but that must have given one of them a heart attack at that point, because that was insane. And now it is Ghost Recon getting through on Swift, as well as Swift's teammate Jamie Met is right in behind. The same with the both half drivers, who are getting very close to each other. And Ecos Mats on the back of this as well. So bunch of 6-7 drivers are close together as Ibo's around for Brooklands. Then both Astons go side by side. I think Swift is not fighting too much, but Robert is trying to get through as well. So there's contact between Robert and Swift, and both of them around. And it's going to be very annoying for them. they're gonna have to try and get back later on as Aguapo sets a fast lap of the race and continues his lead for now, lap 9. As Swift gets a 5-second for speeding into the pit as well to add on to the misery, and that is unfortunate to see for him.
Yeah, I'm not really sure what happened there. It looked like, I think it was Robertson tried to go up the inside of Jamie, and Swift could just tag Swift on the outside there, and they both kind of went into a synchronized spin. As I say that, Ecos Mats goes into a spin on the exit of turn 3, and we'll come back onto the track. Down to P13 now, after losing a few positions. But yeah, that was a string of confusing incidents. We saw Jordan and Swip going into cops there. Looked like either Swip just went a little bit left or Jordan went a little bit right. It wasn't all the way clear, and then they had that contact, and then Swip, well, kind of getting caught up with Robertson and the Hasses and his teammate as well. So interesting, a few interesting incidents to see early on in that safety car restart, but no further safety cars as it stands right now. Jamie Met, 3-second time penalty, the first driver here tonight to pick up a 3-second time penalty, as the Guapo and Lifebout battling it out here for P1 out on track right now. iConnect doesn't seem to quite have the pace, but those mediums are going to be wearing very quickly as Esteban and Axel fighting right now as they head through Stowe. I think Esteban was just around the outside of Axel and got the move done there on his hard tires. Those mediums are going to be wearing very, very quickly as Lifebout in second place. We've seen this one before. Guapo leads the race, but Lifebout setting the fastest lap when the first lap, the DRS is activated. He's going to be right up the gearbox of that Alpine is the Alpha Tower. He's going to take the wider line into turn 4, trying to get the best exit possible. He's going to line up the traction, straighten the car out fourth here as we now accelerate through, or onto the, I have my track back up. I want to make that mistake. Wellington straight, there we go. Through Brooklands and now through left field once again. I think Lifebout, if he's going to make a move, it's going to be on the hanger straight down at the back of the circuit.
Yeah, he looks to be very cautious with making his move. He has a lot of ERS still in the back as Aguapo has spins a little bit. Lifebout is just able to stick very close to him, so he looks like the quick run attitude as Aguapo goes a bit wide there through Pops, trying to compromise with a bit of ERS, and to Mac into Pickett. And let's see if the AlphaTauri can stick close enough of him to make an overtake. They're very close to the back of him, and now the DRS is going to be open. Now he's draining his ERS, and both of them are. And let's see if the AlphaTauri can make this move down the inside off. So I don't think Aguapo is fighting this one too much. He's kind of keeping his nose in, but I don't think he's going to be able to do much there. And it looks like Lifebout has taken over the lead. So let's see if we can get away. As iConnect in the background made a slight bit of a mistake out of Stowe. Kept it on the track though, so not all bad for him so far. But these two are looking to get clear a little bit.
Yeah, good move there from Lifebout. Guapo, really, there wasn't too much that he could do. I think, if anything, if I'm a Guapo here, I'm just going to try and sit behind. I'm going to let Lifebout use his ERS, and I'm just going to wait till the pit stop before I try to make any moves, maybe get a slight undercut on the AlphaTauri driver and try and win this one through strategy, if anything. But yeah, you can tell the mediums for iConnect, for Axel as well, starting to wear away. You saw that mistake from iConnect. Axel now getting overtaken by Jordan as they head through turn 4 and in through Aintree. So you can tell those mediums are starting to wear. Maybe they were regretting not making that pit stop under the safety car, but they wouldn't be where they are right now because Lifebout and Guapo still have that little tail, and the name of that little tail is iConnect, who is in a good position here. He's within DRS. If he can stick here, I think he might just be out as we head into Maggotts and Beckett's. But he also has a 1.5-second gap to Bully Poles, who's 2.3 to California. So iConnect is in a good little spot here. If the rest of the race will favor him in terms of possible incidents and safety cars, but at Guapo, I said that if I'm a Guapo here, I'm saving my ERS, I'm letting Lifebout use his, but no, I'm just going to drain everything because he's down to 25% and wasn't even able to get a move done. So that kind of shows that a Guapo's pushing as hard as he can, and Lifebout just it's comfortable. It's easy for him.
As iConnect makes his way into the pits, so he's had enough of sitting there behind. I think losing the DRS might have been the deal breaker for him and just going into the pits, and that makes sense. Axel's continuing on those mediums. He's not really planning to do this much longer. Let's see where iConnect comes out, because obviously Jordan's already passed. If he can make this to the end, Jordan's obviously a very good spot. Even if Life and Aguapa are going to be this quick for the rest of the race. I think the gap currently, it's about 12 seconds. I mean, the pit stop, we see I connects it, look how far he fell back. I think it's about 28, 29, especially with the warm-up on the hard, so it was quite a bit. He's about 30 seconds behind Life, but so... You know, Jordan, if he can make it, he's in a very good spot, and the same goes for Ghost Recon, and the same goes for Old School. I have to see if they can actually make it, and obviously those mediums at the end will be very quick as well compared to the older hards, so even if they make it to the end, it's not set and done just yet.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see what happens here. Guapo, Lifebout, still close together out on track, but Guapo has burned all of his ERS, and that's something that you're not going to get back too quickly. He does have his pit stop light on, though, so it could be coming in this lap. I'm not sure why you would. It's a little early for a hard medium, but yeah, he's going to stay out one more, at least, as they're going to be going on to lap number 13, and I imagine these guys will continue on for 2 or 3 more laps and then head into the pit lane for a set of medium tires. Left out, fastest lap of the race at 131.245. Holy Pole is just in behind them, just following along. California, they're all doing their own race. Esteban P5 and Jordan, even with those 5-lap newer tires, isn't catching too much on Esteban as Axel's into the pit lane, and Robertson will continue on for 1 more lap. So maybe Robertson going, I don't even know. I mean, you'd imagine he would have picked the hard by now, but doing whatever he needs to. He's still within DRS, so that could be one of the factors playing into his strategy decision.
It could definitely, and obviously that might game, but he's now just about losing it. I think he might just have it for this little switch, if he does. So, not all over for him just yet. Have to see though if he's going to come into the pits very soon, because those mediums won't hold it out for much longer, I reckon. I'm just looking around if there's anything going on. It's very quiet currently. Obviously the top 2 are kind of pacing away now. 4 seconds to Volopus as a Lifebout, yeah, with a lot of ERS still as well. So he's not even trying to use that much. And still pulling Aguapa along and not allowing him to save a lot. These 2 are going to continue on for at least 1 more lap, I think, maybe a couple more. I'll have to see about that. Yeah, to Jamie Metz on the back of Ghost Recon. He's going running outside of him, and I think he's got the move done. Just about there, just so. See a few more fast laps coming in, and yeah, Jamie Metz obviously making that move for P7. He's not pitted yet, so yeah, it's very decent to see from him. And Ghost Recon will not be happy because obviously he has already pitted and he wants to just get a move on.
Yeah, Ghost Recon doesn't seem like he just quite has the pace. He had a good start to this race, got himself up a few positions off from his grid slot, but now currently a P8 net. I want to say net P2 as it stands right now. If he can get those tires to the end, that is. If he doesn't have to make another pit stop, if he's net P2 currently. So in a good position, just needs to keep the tire wear in check, and one of the stages to that is maybe letting Jamie Met go in front, get towed along by DRS so you don't have to push quite as hard, but he's using all of his ERS. Speaking of using all of your ERS, Guapo, out of DRS range. He will have it for this straight, obviously, because the DRS protection point is before Maggott and Beckett, but struggling through the middle sector, it seems, is the Alpine driver. I'd imagine he's struggling a lot. He'll be into the pit lane this lap. The Lifebout, if he's smart, he might come in. No. Lifebout's going to stay out. If I'm him here, I'm burning all my ERS and just trying to create the biggest gap possible while Guapo's on cold tires. Maybe saving a little bit to use on that outlap, but I think Lifebout's in a pretty strong position here to win this one.
Yeah, it definitely looks like it. As Aguapa has actually gone into the pits, and maybe an undercut is what he needs to get back into it. We'll have to see though. He goes into the mediums, and let's see where he is compared to Jordan. Jordan is just coming past him just now. We see Robertson into the pits as well. Yellow flags for Ibo there at the back for a little bit. Or Energetics actually, might be. He's driving very slowly. Aguapo coming out quite a ways behind the guys who have pitted towards the hearts. iConnect is still behind them, but not too far. I think if once the tires will heat up, it will be about 2.5 seconds, roughly. maybe a bit less, maybe a bit more. Have to see. Robertson has gone to another set of mediums, and that is what surprised me because he was on the set of mediums, and he's not going to do enough to meet the mandatory tire rule. So yeah, interesting strategy. He's going to have to pit again. I don't know if he meant it or I just accidentally pressed the wrong tire.
No,
Let's see, I guess.
he's gone hard, medium, medium in this race.
Oh yeah, I forgot he got damage on lap 1, and we see now Lifeboat is into the pits. Let's see if the undercut is gonna have worked for Aguapo, but he's not really pulling too much from iConnect. Obviously the tires are still warming up, sort of. Not gonna be too easy, as iConnect has a big moment there through the exit of Chapel. See a lot of drivers coming into the pits actually. But that's just costed him about 5/10s, and it's unfortunate to see for the Ferrari driver who's had a very quiet, well, quiet, won't say quiet, very decent race so far. And yeah, it's continuing on. Let's see, Lifeout's going to come out of the pits there, right behind Ecos Matt, I think. So we have also Steban and Jamie Mitt coming into the pits for their pit stops as well.
Yeah, Polypole is making his way into the pit lane as well. The only driver continuing on from the beginning of this race now will be, well, California, who's out in the front right now. iConnect's coming out, or well, Polypole's coming out right behind iConnect. So Polypole's in a pretty decent spot here. Well, Esteban, Jamie Met just behind him, 8.5 seconds back is Esteban from Polypole. And Jamie Met just getting overtaken by Axel as he heads into turn 3, coming out of the pit lane there. But iConnect's, as you mentioned, he's had a solid race, but a quiet one as it stands right now. 4-lap old hard tires to his name right now. He only has 10 or 11 more laps to go in this one. So those hard tires should get to the end and they should be pretty decent. But we're looking at a Guapo and Lifebout right now. Lifebout still on 80% ERS. Guapo has gained a little bit since he made it to the pit stop. Of course, you gain around 20 to 30% in ERS, so he's used a little bit since he come out. But he's 4 seconds back. That is the main problem for Guapo here. And now, as long as Lifebout is able to make his way through any traffic that he has Ecos Mats in front of him, but then it's a 5-second gap to the rest of the drivers in front of him. As Ecos Mats will come into the pit lane. He doesn't have really too much to worry about. All he has to do, keep the pace up, keep it at consistent lap times, and I think he'll be good. As is that old school? That is old school, who's just had a spin out of foot corner.
That's unfortunate to see. He's dropped back a good few seconds. I think that's a good strategy. Let's see if these tires make it towards the end though, because yeah, they're going to be wearing a little bit much now. In my experience, that is not going to be the most fun experience. But we're seeing Lifeboat. Yeah, he's catching these guys a lot, and I think even if Jordan makes the end, he's not going to be able to hold on against his AlphaTauri with a lot of ERS currently. That's yeah, I think he is a bit too quick as of right now. Looking around, Polypus is on the back of iConnect here actually, so maybe Alfa Romeo is able to get through here and potentially fight for, I don't know what it will be at the end, depending on how far these guys make it, but let's say podium. There's a possibility of podium if all the hard runners in front don't make it, so yeah, Polypus still in a good position here after his pit stop, and looking to probably capitalize on that.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see what iConnect, or Polypole does here with iConnect, because just getting onto these medium tires, it's first flying lap on them, of course. He does have a little bit of ERS. If I'm him here, I'm going to try and save some ERS, and then blast past iConnect, going down the hanger straight, and just try and pull the biggest gap that I possibly can, or maybe even to Brooklyn's off the Wellington straight, then use as much ERS as possible through Luffield and through Cobbs and through Magnus and Beckett. As Polypole's watching a bullet that sets the fastest lap of the race, and that's really what you want to see from drivers who are on these medium tires. Lifebout not setting a fast lap, but Guapo not setting a fast lap, but Esteban as well. Getting into that conversation, California is going to be on the chase for the fastest lap as well, possibly on this next lap. But yeah, if I'm Polypole's here, I sit behind maybe for 1 or 2 more laps and then try and get past iConnect and pull that DRS gap.
Yeah, let's see. In the meantime, we have Aguapo coming towards the back of Old School as well. And on those fresher mediums, he should be able to get past pretty quickly. And the same goes for Jamie Mitt, who's now on the back of Axel. He's going to try to make a move down towards Brooklands. Axel's defending the inside. Let's see if Jamie Mitt can send it around the outside. It's very deep, and I don't think he's going to be able to. So he's going to have to find another spot here, but he's still flagging a little bit there, at least on my end. Just got me out a little bit, but Axel remains ahead so far. Let's move up the stage as we see Aguepo on the back of Old School, and I think he's going to make the move, and he's not going to be contested a whole lot as Old School gets past by Aguepo quite easily. And my Potipus has not made a move on Iconix, so he is just sitting behind for now, and maybe not planning to overtake him very soon. We'll have to see.
Yeah, Polypole's looking like he's saving up his zeros. He's up to 54%. He's gained almost 10% on that last lap, which is kind of crazy to see, especially on this game. But yeah, Aguapo making his way past Old School there. Old School, you know, if that was Season 3, we would see Aguapo maybe in a wall here pretty soon, because, you know, Old School, you know, was that guy in Season 3, stayed out, made everybody's life difficult, and he did not care. So I think he's learned a little bit. But yeah, that's cool. Just letting him by, making the right, I'd say the right strategy decision. No point taking the life out of your tires, trying to fight people coming through on 4-lap old tires when your tires are 14 laps old. So yeah, just making the right decision, and if he's careful enough, he should find himself with a decent top 10 result.
Yeah, I'll have to see. He is able to do that. Meantime, Linefight has got almost a 5-second gap on Aguepo. And that is quite significant to see. In the meantime, Potipus still behind Iconix, and they're coming up towards at least the last car of Sir Ibo there. And that gains Iconix a little bit of DRS, so I'll be happy with that. So it does actually pull ahead a little bit there. It's interesting to see. In the meantime, the gap from Jordan to Linefight is shrunk to 4 seconds just over. So Ghost Recon gets his second penalty. That's going to drop him back a little bit. For now, at least behind Lifeboat, who sits the fastest lap of the race with a 30.3. Just slightly faster than Siban, but obviously he still does have 90% ERS, and it's not really pushing that much. No DRS either, but he's going to be on the back of Ghost Recon very soon. Have to see. Iconix and Potipus are now catching Old School in the DRS of him as well, so this could be a nice three-way fight between them.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how Old School will play this. Of course, hitting under that safety car for the hard tires, trying to get them to the end. He still has another 6 or 7 laps here, does Old School. And this is really most of the people that you're going to be wanting to try and contend with a little bit. You have Iconix, you have Polypoles, California, and Esteban will be closed again very shortly as well, especially on those new mediums. As Ibo has a little spin, and Swift will pick up another 3-second time penalty, but as it stands right now, Iconix not really doing too much. Old School, as Ghost Recon will get overtaken by Lifebout down the hanger straight and into Stowe. Lifebout used 10 or 20% ERS and made it look quite easy, but now he's going to be on Jordan very soon and into the race lead. Old School keeping Iconix behind for the time being. Old School doesn't have much ERS. Iconix doesn't have much more really, as he's breaking late into the club chicane, or into the Vale chicane, and he's not going to be able to pull off a move here on lap number 20 as we go on to lap 21. But Polypoles, he saved up a bunch of ERS right at the beginning behind Iconix, and now he hasn't really done too much with it. So Polypoles, as soon as they get past Old School, if I'm Polypoles here, I'm going to try and make a move, because it looks like, I don't know if he'll be able to catch a Guapo, but he's getting far away into the distance. But Iconix looking on to the back of the Haas driver, who doesn't have the DRS, he doesn't have the ERS
right.
neither, as Polypoles has sent himself into the Shadow Realm for some reason. He's gone way off the track. He just destroyed the brake boards for absolutely no reason, and he's almost pulled Lewis Hamilton and spun into the gravel there. And that is his entire challenge done for top 5 result. He's going to be now battling with California, possibly for a P7. He might be able to catch Old School for a P6. But Iconix, I think that's almost solidified him a P5 here.
Yes, Lifeboat has now got the race lead, so that just shows, I think, we know enough, and Lifeboat is probably gonna have his last race in D4 here. Just looking at his lap times as well, it's quite insane in this division. In the meantime, Jordan is still on for P2 here. I don't know if Aguapa will catch him, depending on how these tires will hold up. Yeah, 29.7 is pretty insane. I can't lie, that's far too quick for this. Aguapo is not really gaining on iConnect currently, not at least by a lot. So, what do you think, Quick? Don't think he's maybe too out of place, but he might still. I'm not too sure. We'll have to see about that. The gaps are a bit spread out. I think also might be recalled by Polypus again. It's Polypus, yeah, he tried to turn to the right, try to make it free wide, and he just got caught on the grass. And yeah, just took out the brake marker board and lost a good 4 seconds. So that's not the way you want to spend at least a chance at this top 5 finish, and maybe more, given that Ghost Recon still has 6 seconds of penalties as well. Let's see, Robertson is very close to equal to Mats here actually, so I'll fight for P10, that could be fairly exciting in the next few laps.
Yeah, Ecos Mats on the newer medium tires. He's also right up the back of Sir Ibo here, who is ghosted in front. Of course, I'll put him, well, he's already a lap down to the leaders. I'll put him a lap down to P10 and P11 very soon here. So getting ERS, yeah, Ecos Mats is going to get the DRS off of Ibo here, so that is going to aggravate Robertson just a little bit, I'd imagine. So, yeah, it looks like he's not going to be able to make a move on this lap. Anyways, looking for any other battle, really it's kind of spread out the rest of the top 10. Lifeboat leads by 2.5 seconds to Jordan. Jordan and Ghost Recon just trying to hold on to the tires. Guapo catching Ghost Recon already within the 6-second gap. Same is iConnect, or at least is very close to it. Old School just as the same as Jordan and Ghost Recon, just holding on to his tires for as long as absolutely possible. Only a few more laps to go, but you can kind of see the tires are starting to change color around on the outside. I don't want to be James Head, but it looks like there's a blister starting to form on those tires. But the game doesn't portray it too well. Poldypol is a P7. After whatever he did a few laps ago, he's probably will end up finishing P6 here in front of Old School. California P8 hasn't, after qualifying, hasn't really showed too much pace in the race. I think he's currently P8, Esteban P9, and then you have that 10-second gap from P9 to P10 in Ecos Mats. So with Robertson right behind him, that's really the last battle. Axel is looking to hold on to a final points position with 6 seconds. Jamie Matt also has 6 seconds, so it'll be a close battle if Axel picks up another 3-second time penalty. But besides that, everything is kind of stretched out a little bit.
Yeah, it is fairly stretched out. Yeah, as you said, a few battles still playing out. Aguapo, I don't think he's going to catch Jordan unless Jordan's tires really fall off a cliff, but yeah, they could. Does he have a puncture actually? He's going very slowly. No.
No, I don't think so.
Just looks very slow through turn 1 and 2, but that might just be him trying to conserve the tires a little bit. You really don't want to stress them too much and really slow down there. So that might actually be quite a close battle, although Aguavo does look like maybe the favourite to close that one out. Next looking, yeah, very solidified in P4 as Polypus is going for the move on Old School Nanny inside, not sending himself to Narnia and gets himself into P6. I'm just gonna look at the gap. Goes Recon. There's a chance I think he still gets P5 because Recon has 6 seconds and those tires are gonna be on the end of their lifespan, like right about now. So now if Polypus can catch about 3 seconds, and he still has that P5 in him for him. As Aguapa is now looking to overtake Ghost Recon, who yeah, gets passed by the Alpine very easily. Who will now be on the Mercedes, and I think is going to solidify himself into P2. We'll have to see. As these guys are very much off the cliff. We have yellow flags, which I can't quite see what for. maybe energetic, letting people through a little bit there. The Aguapo is on the back of the Mercedes now, and I think down towards turn 3 he could go for the move. Let's see. He's gonna stick him behind for now. Not looking to go for a move just yet. Yeah, energetic is still slowing down for a few last cars. On the exit here now, the Alpine I think is gonna go for it and get past with the DRS, although Jordan is gonna defend this obviously with all of his life. Alpine goes down the inside though, and maybe with that grip, I don't think there's much of a contest for Jordan. And the Mercedes has to tuck in behind and essentially settle for a P3 here if he can make these tires still last. 20 laps now on them, so you know he's got to be careful. They'll probably be in puncture territory. I wouldn't be surprised anyway. So yeah, I think that is going to be difficult. He does have Ghost Recon in behind, but obviously he has penalties, so look like much of a thing. As as you speak about it, that definitely solidifies P5 for the boost here, and that might give an opportunity for Old School to get P6 maybe still. Have to see, so Ghost Recon is still trying to line up a move with Jordan, but I think he's going to stick him behind with his penalties for now.
Yeah, Ghost Recon not going to be able to do anything about that one, but Lifebout coming around the final corner to start the final lap here as he leads by 8 seconds to Aguapa, who has been kind of caught in traffic, but it was really a prison of his own making, if that's the phrase you want to use, because he didn't have the strongest of first stints. He didn't have the strongest of second stints, as you can see right now. Now he's 8.5 seconds behind. He wasted his, in my opinion, he wasted his ERS on that first stint and then didn't have anything to use in the second. So, yeah, struggling here, but Lifebout has been far and away the fastest driver here at Silverstone tonight. Jordan in P3, a good strategy call by him, as well as Ghost Recon. They're still fighting over this P3 on track. Ghost Recon just trying to make up as much time as possible. Currently, he will be finishing in P6. iConnect and Polypoles would jump him. Old School just was in the 9-second gap. Is actually still in the 9-second gap, I think, if I could do math. 11.8 to leader versus 19.7 to leader. So Old School still within that gap. Ghost Recon is going to have DRS and possibly a little bit of ERS to try and make that gap as large as possible. But I think we're really just going to have to ride on board with Lifebout here as he comes through Stowe for the final time, and through the club chicane is Ghost Recon. Jordan has a puncture.
He's got a puncture
On the left.
Oh, that's costing.
Wait,
yeah.
Wait. Where?
Left rear, I think. Yeah, left rear. As Lifebout has crossed the line and kind of ruined that moment.
Oh, well.
As he did get the fastest lap, so I don't think he'll be too unhappy. And Aguapa coming home in second. iConnect is going to take that podium spot from Jordan then. Jordan will still make it round, he's going to get past with Polypolis, but I think he's still getting home for P5. As goes breaking with the penalties, dropping down all the way to P8 then. But Old School feels P6. So if we go after the spin, I mean, he won't be happy with the spin, but still a decent result there ahead of California. Goes breaking in 8th, Steven in 9th, Eagles Mats in 10th, Robertson in 11th, and Agniarty Axel will come home for 12th here. Jamie met Swip, Energetics, and Ibo far outside of the points.
I'm still looking at Jordan's car here, and I'm not seeing a puncture.
No, it's on the left rear. It's bobbing about.
I'm not seeing it. Maybe just didn't render for me or something. I don't know. But yeah, either way, Lifebout wins here in Britain, followed by Aguapo. The top 2 in qualifying, top 2 in the race, just in reversed order there. iConnect will take home a podium here tonight, and then Polypoles will finish in P4. A good result for him. As we'll just wait for the results to come up. But yeah, decent first race of the season, I would say. Driver of the day goes to iConnect, and if anything, I'd say I would give my driver of the day to, can't remember his name. That's unbelievable for me. Lifebout, there we go. But yeah, driver of the day, in my opinion, will go to Lifebout. P2 on the grid, had a solid qualifying, only 400 off of pole position, and then absolutely dominated the race. Made the move when he needed to, didn't use his ERS wastefully, and got that P1 and fastest lap. So an overall a very good performance there from Lifebout. Guapo will take home P2, and iConnect, I'm sure, will be very happy with his podium from P11. Poldypoles will finish where he started in P4. Jordan up 1 place. Old School up to P6 from P13, another driver of the day contender there. If we do have the Twitter vote this season, I'm not sure. California down to P7 from P5. Ghost Recon up 8 places as well. The American driver in P8. Esteban in Ecos Mats will round out the top 10. And then Robertson and Axel will be the final points finishers. And then drivers outside the points were Jamie Met, Swip, Energetics, and Ibo. And then our non-finishers were Jay Hings and Serial Killer. So, yeah, overall good race. I think the orgs have a few things to think about in terms of placements maybe for next week, but overall pretty decent one.
Yeah, overall, quite an entertaining one. And yes, you can see Lifeout's fastest lap at 29.5 is just incredibly quick. So yeah, I think that looks pretty solidified to be out of place, but we'll have to see.
Yeah, so I don't know if we're doing interviews or not, but I'm not really sure. But I think,
It's up to you.
well, I kind of actually have to go, so
Yeah.
yeah. I think that's gonna end it here for the first race here in division number 4. I'll pull up the calendar really quick just to show it on stream here. Next week we will be going to China and of course our first sprint race of the season, and then we'll be heading to Japan, Abu Dhabi, for the next 2 weeks after that. So an exciting month, I guess, in terms of tracks in action. We have Britain, which is almost always a good race. China with a sprint race, this should be interesting. And then round out January, we have Japan, which is always entertaining as well as just a nice track to drive. So, exciting next 2 races here from the League of Europe, and we'll be looking forward to see you in a week's time for China. And from that, I don't know if you have anything else to say here, but I think that's going to be it.
I think that'll be it. It was a fairly entertaining race, and yeah, I hope to be back next week with some more of that.
Yeah, of course, always looking forward to next week. Tune into Division 1 and 3 at 6 UK time, and then, of course, come back for Divisions 2 and 4 at 8 UK time next week as well. So that's been it. And